Have you ever wondered how to write well in academic style? What is academic writing? Are you not sure how to improve your academic writing skills?
Throughout this tutorial, we'll explore the 12 key elements of academic style to help you improve your writing. Academic style is a way of writing that is used in academic settings, such as colleges and universities. Academic writing is different from casual writing because it's more formal and follows specific rules to make the writing clear and professional. Here are the 12 key points you should remember when writing in academic style. 1. Do not use idiomatic or colloquial vocabulary. This vocabulary is the kind of expressions you would use in everyday conversations. For example, stuff, teens or folks. Use formal language instead, for example, findings, adolescents, citizens. Always try to think about formal words when writing. The 10 most common would be words such as factor, aspect, findings, concept, analysis, assessment, evaluation, significant, outcome, and approach. Remember that using formal and academic vocabulary can enhance the clarity and credibility of your writing. Avoid the following: thing or something. You should use issue, factor, aspect, or topic instead. Avoid using the word like when you give examples. It is better to use such as, or for instance. When writing, avoid using little or big. Use small or large instead. Avoid using good or bad. It is better to use positive or negative. Avoid using lots of. Use significant amount or considerable number. Try to avoid phrases with get, such as get rich or get better. Use prosper and improve instead. 2. Use vocabulary accurately. Do not confuse, for example, effect and effect. Effect refers to the influence or impact on something, often used as a verb. Effect talks about the result or outcome, often used as a noun. Another example could be infer and imply. Their meaning may seem to be very similar, but there are small differences. Infer means to deduce or draw a conclusion based on evidence or reasoning. However, imply means to suggest or indicate indirectly without being explicit. If you are not sure how to use certain words, check the exact meaning and use of these words in a good dictionary. Have a look how your particular word is used in sample sentences, what other words it collocates with, that is, what words naturally go before and after this word. To make it clearer, let's have a look at the following example: conduct an experiment. This collocation is commonly used in academic writing when describing the process of performing scientific experiments or research studies. The words conduct and experiment naturally go together in this context to indicate the action of carrying out a planned investigation to test a hypothesis or gather data. Example sentence: in order to investigate the effects of the new drug, researchers decided to conduct an experiment involving 2 control groups and 1 experimental group. In this sentence, the collocation, conduct an experiment, is used to describe the action of performing a scientific investigation involving the administration of a new drug to different groups of subjects. Using such academic-style collocations adds precision and coherence to your writing, and it is a common practice in formal research papers, essays, and scholarly articles. 3. Be precise when dealing with facts or figures. Avoid phrases such as a few people, a lot of, or hundreds of years ago. If possible, use precise figures and facts. If it is necessary to estimate numbers, use approximately rather than about. Also, avoid generalizations. That means making broad statements or conclusions about a group, category, or concept. Do not assume that all members of a group share the same characteristics, behaviors, or qualities. The examples of generalizations would be expressions such as we all know, people always, or people never. 4. Use tentative, cautious language. It is very common to use tentative or cautious language in academic writing. It is used to express caution, uncertainty, or modesty when presenting ideas or findings, or when you analyze sources or interpret results. It helps to acknowledge the limitations of the study or the possibility of alternative interpretations. Avoid absolute statements, such as education reduces crime. Instead, use cautious phrases, may reduce crime or tends to reduce crime. Using cautious language in academic writing shows that you're humble and understand the challenges in your research. It also invites your readers to engage critically with your work and consider multiple perspectives. Here are some examples of tentative language in academic style. The results suggest that this phrase acknowledges that the findings provide evidence for a particular conclusion, but it doesn't claim absolute certainty. It is plausible to argue that this expression suggests that the argument is reasonable, but it leaves room for other perspectives. The data appears to support the hypothesis that the use of appears to indicates that the data provides some evidence for the hypothesis, but it doesn't firmly establish it. 5. Avoid subjective adverbs and emotive language. Such language can undermine the objectivity and credibility of the work. The main emphasis should be on the information you give and the arguments you make, rather than you. Some examples of subjective adverbs would be unfortunately, luckily, or really. It is crucial to remember that academic writing aims to present information objectively and impartially. 6. Do not contract verb forms. Avoiding contractions in academic writing is a common practice, because it helps maintain a more formal and professional tone. For example, instead of using won't, hasn't, or can't, use the full forms will not, has not, and cannot. 7. Use passive voice correctly. Here are some reasons why passive voice is commonly employed in academic style. Emphasizing the action, or the object. Passive voice can shift the focus from the door of the action, the subject, to the action itself, or the object of the action. This is particularly useful when you want to highlight the importance of the action, or the results rather than the person, or entity performing it. In this sentence, the emphasis is on the analysis of the data rather than the researcher who performed the analysis. Maintaining objectivity and authoritativeness. Passive voice allows you to present information in a more neutral and authoritative manner, avoiding personal pronouns and reducing the author's presence in the text. Example: it was observed that the reaction rates increased with temperature. By using passive voice, the author minimizes their role in the observation, adding a more objective tone to the statement. Maintaining a formal and professional tone. Passive voice is a standard feature of formal writing, including academic style. It contributes to a more formal tone, which is often expected in scholarly works. Example: the results of the experiment were published in Nature magazine. This passive construction helps to make this sentence formal. The correct use of passive voice can improve clarity and objectivity of your text. However, be careful not to overuse it. Overusing passive voice can make the writing too complex and less engaging. In some cases, active voice may be more suitable, especially when the emphasis is on the subject or when the door of the action is crucial to the context. The key is to strike a balance and choose the voice that best suits the specific writing goal and context in academic writing. 8. Do not use question forms. Explain ideas to the reader. Don't ask them questions. For example, what is the reason for this change? Should be replaced by, the reason for this change is that. 9. Avoid using etc. or so on. Etc. is used to indicate that there are additional items or examples that could be included in a list, but are not explicitly mentioned. It should be used sparingly, especially in academic writing, as it can be seen as too informal or imprecise. In formal academic writing, it's often better to provide a comprehensive list or rephrase the sentence to include all relevant examples explicitly. 10. Avoid using phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are two-word verbs that function as a single unit with a distinct meaning, for example, look after. They are common in everyday language, but in academic writing, it is better to use a more formal tone. For example, replace find out with discover, point out with indicate, or bring up with raise. Remember, whenever possible, opt for single-word verbs to maintain a more formal and professional tone. 11. Use citations and referencing. Proper citation and referencing are essential in academic writing to acknowledge the sources of information and ideas used in the work and to avoid plagiarism. Remember, there are two kinds of citations. The first one is called information prominent. It highlights the information. The author's name and the publication year are both given in brackets before the full stop. The second one is called author prominent. It highlights the author's name and uses a reporting verb to introduce the information. The publication year is given in brackets after the author's name. The reporting verb you choose can show opinion, distance and attitude as well as the type of information or research cited. 12. Use evidence. Academic writing uses evidence, like facts, research, and credible sources, to support its ideas and arguments. It's like building a strong case for what you're saying. When you write academically, you want people to trust your information, so you back up your points with evidence from reliable sources. This way, your writing is fair, balanced, and not just based on personal opinions. Using evidence makes your writing stronger and more convincing, because it shows that your ideas are well informed and based on real information. Today we've learned about 12 important elements of academic writing. If you're working on a research paper, essay, or any academic project, now it's time to put these tips into practice. Good luck and happy writing!